I love the kitchen. For me, it's not just a place to cook in and eat in. It's a place to live in. And maybe I shouldn't say this because I know it's a terrible cliche, but it's true. The kitchen really is the heart of the home. And what's also true for me is that it doesn't really matter whether I've got time on my hands and I can cook slowly and leisurely, or if I'm really up against it and have to do frantically fast meals. The thing is, if I'm in the kitchen, I'm happy. My evening meal is one of the highlights of the day and something to be celebrated even when time or energy are in short supply. How could I not relish a supper called slut spaghetti? I make it out of ingredients from the store cupboard. My Spanish chicken with chorizo and potatoes has it all. Looks, taste, ease. The leftovers make the most fantastic morning after quesadillas. My no-fuss fruit tart is an absolute showstopper and it's stress-free. And when I'm dining alone, I love to treat myself to my lemony salmon with cherry tomato couscous. I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I think the only thing anyone should ever feel guilty about is not taking pleasure. But having said that, I do concede that the amount of enjoyment I get from eating supper in bed is almost shameful. But I need to be prepared, I'm ever hopeful, so I have to keep the ingredients in the house that enable me to rustle up a quick supper whenever I want. Pasta puttanesca, that Italian stalwart, is generally translated, on English menus anyway, as pasta cooked in the whorish fashion. Now, I'm sorry to be immodest, but I prefer my translation, slut spaghetti. The sauce, very easy. I'm going to start with some anchovies, and I have a special anchovy prizer. The thing about slut spaghetti is that there's a bit of a debate over why it's called this. Some people say it's because it's got such gutsy, almost vulgar flavours. Others say it's because it's very, very quick to make, so you could probably rustle up a dish of it in between entertaining gentlemen callers. But I think it's probably because the ingredients for it all come from tins or jars or, like anchovies, preserved. So in other words, you could be the sort of slattern who didn't go to market every day and buy fresh produce and still make this sauce. I think I ought to put some oil in this pan, just regular olive oil, nothing expensive. Ready for the anchovies to go in. I must say, I do think anchovies have an unfairly bad reputation, mostly because the ones you get on pizza are just like rusty iron. These are like tender, melting salt nuggets. Quick stir. I want some garlic. I would, if I had to, use garlic oil here, but really, the whole point is that nothing about it is subtle. So I don't want hint of garlic, I want full throttle. So I'm having a second clove too. In it goes. And now, while we're keeping everything bold and brassy, quite appropriate, real bit of punch here, some dried chilies. They're so beautiful, I all too easily put too many of them in and end up really with a bowl of fire. But some like it hot, and I certainly do. Goodness me, what was I thinking of? Pasta needs to go in. Spaghetti, obviously. Try and coax these golden strands down into the water. And frankly, while the spaghetti cooks, so will the sauce, but a bit of salt first, not too much, because this is pretty salty, the sauce. Now, Madam shouldn't have to ruin her manicure now, should she? my ring pull opener. In go the tomatoes. Now this is something my mother always did, which is she didn't chop anything before, she just would get some scissors straight into the pan. And very satisfying it is too. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use a bit of this to get some of the pasta water out, so I have a bit of starch from the pasta water and all the remains of the tomato in the tin. I want to throw it away. In that goes. And now some capers, caperi. Beautiful. These are nonpareil capers, little French ones. And some gorgeous shiny black olives. They are pitted, and I love the way they look like teddy bears' noses. I think I'm done. I'm just going to let this cook. So as it cooks, it will thicken slightly and all the flavours will meld together. Everything is ready. Just a bit of parsley choppage. I mean, obviously, if you don't have any parsley, no one's going to sue you. See? Is it ready? The idea is that water will come out and I can land my spaghetti straight in the pan. So just a light snack. Beautiful. In deference to its name, I'm going to bed. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean I can spend all day in the kitchen cooking. I mean, sometimes I can, but at other times, you know, I need to be out and about doing stuff. But the thing about my no-fuss fruit tart, it really is what it says, a quick prep, unproblematic pud. Starts off with a digestive biscuit base, I want 375 grams, 75 grams of soft, unsalted butter. And then it's just a matter of pressing the button and blitzing. Lovely. And I can feel it has the texture of slightly damp sand, which is perfect. Just want to tip it into my deep-sided flan tin, fluted edges, and about 25 centimetres diameter. That's 10 inches in old money. Much as I love using my hands when cooking, I think the best way to do this is with the back of a spoon. The idea is to smooth everything out on the base and right up the sides so that this case of golden crumbs, once it's unmoulded, looks like a fairy tale crown. But for now, it can sit in the fridge. About 10 minutes is fine. I am going to make the filling. First, I want cream cheese, about 400 grams. I think it's important that it's been out of the fridge for a while, otherwise it's very difficult to mix smoothly. And what I'm mixing it with is lemon curd. I suppose I should feel a bit embarrassed that I'm just mixing together things from tubs and jars, but actually this lemon curd is very good. It's organic and it's very sharp, and that's important, I think. This is simplicity itself, isn't it? My gleaming lemon cream is ready. I'm just going to retrieve the base. Perfect. So it's just really a matter of putting the cream in the case. It's going to smooth it down. A little crank spatula. It's one of my favourite things. I'm trying to go carefully here because my aim, is not to muss up too much of the biscuit lining. But don't worry, you don't need to make the cream filling particularly smooth, because any minute now it's going to be covered luxuriantly with my summer berries. I'm putting the darker berries in first for dramatic background. There's something about that lemony cream that makes the blueness really stand out. The blackberries, put them here and there, gleaming at me. Now raspberries. Now really, I know I should hull the strawberries, but I absolutely love the look of them with the green leafage attached, and the aesthetic consideration is important. I mean, look at those red currants, they're like jewels. Nice earrings? I mean, really, how could this not lift the heart? It's no cooking whatsoever. While this sits in the fridge, I can be out and about. One of the things I really like about the weekend is that I can make shopping part of the whole pleasurable process rather than just a chore. And I really love being surrounded by food and thinking of all the possibilities. Right now, I need to augment some chicken thighs. I have to try and stop myself having a basket, otherwise I would get everything I see. So I'm concentrating on what I need, and what I need are some oranges, and I'm after lettuce, and I really want the crunch of cos lettuce. It's now very fashionably in the American style, called romaine, but I can't carry anything else, so I'm off. I love chorizo. I love it when it's the salami that you just slice, or the cooking sausages, which are perfect with all their paprika-ness for my chicken. Now, please, por favor, my Spanish is very bad, can I have a packet of those baby cooking chorizo? Thank you very much, gracias. I'm almost embarrassed at how easy my Spanish chicken is to make, but on the other hand, I revel in it as well. I'm using chicken thighs. I just do not understand why people are so obsessed with using chicken breast all the time. As far as I'm concerned, chicken thighs are half the price and have twice the flavour. So I'm smooshing them about in the oil, skin side down, then turn them up so that when they roast, the skin will crisp and become beautifully golden, bronze actually. And now it's the chorizo which makes this chicken Spanish. And you can use regular chorizo, the sausages, not the salami, and in which case cut them in half or in quarters. But I love these little baby ones, my plumptious beauties. And as they roast, they will give off their wonderful paprika oil. And that is what the chicken and everything roasts in. This really is a one-pan meal because you've got your potatoes in as well, and they roast up so gorgeously. The tray does start looking pretty crammed, but you want that because as everything roasts, things shrink a little and you want this to look abundant at all times. So don't be afraid if it's pretty crowded now. And this isn't the last ingredient because I want some chopped onion. I sort of scatter the onion over, but at the same time trying to tuck pieces in where there are any empty spaces, not many. So gorgeous. Just a couple of things. I want some dried oregano on top. And, because I once had some chicken and orange when I was in Spain, some orange zest. Now I'm only using the zest because I like the depth you get from the orange oils in the skin, and also really because if I were to add the juice, then the chicken would braise rather than roast. I just love this. I mean, look how beautiful. So there's a salad to make, and this goes in the oven, 200-degree oven, for an hour, and I can kick off my flamenco heels and fiesta. And olé. I like using cos lettuce here, sometimes called romaine, à l'américaine, but just tear whatever lettuce you want into bite-sized pieces. Salt and some sherry vinegar, just about a teaspoon of that, and delicious proper olive oil. Just toss everything together. I find it easier using my hands, but you may use whatever implements you prefer. Salad server's in, so everything's done, and I have nothing but some tea lights and of course some friends to attend to. Now, incoming. No. Shall I serve you things? Hang on, look, these are like little baby chorizo. It's nice doing things that just go in the oven, I find. You know, Anita, for once I am grateful that you're a delicate eater, because it means I've got some of my breakfast. You think I'm joking? I'm not. Okie doke. Some beautiful berries, a little biscuit crown.
Lovely colours there.
You can go first.
Thank you. No, it's my favourite. I mean, it's nice and fluffy. And it's got that nice citrus tang. Anything lemony for
I
me,
like tang.
So Nigella, tell me, how do I make this?
I'm not going to tell you.
Please.
Any excuse for a quesadilla at breakfast. Riddle on, and I have the best excuse there is. Leftovers. Quesadilla really is just a cheesy tortilla. It's like a toasted sandwich with tortilla instead of bread. But I am adding chicken, chorizo, potato. It has a sort of dual inspiration. One is what I had left over, and the other is when I was in Kansas last, I had a quesadilla for breakfast, and it did come with chicken, a kind of peppery cheese and potato, and it was so heavenly that I thought this really was a very easy way of emulating it. And since I had the chorizo, I don't need to have a sort of peppery cheese. Right, on one half, trying to do it on one half, and then potato, bit of a double carbohydrate moment, always good. And now, it's got the ridiculously large knife for such a small sausage, but and a bit of chicken. The wonderful thing about a quesadilla is that although I love toasted sandwiches, I think with a quesadilla, because the tortilla wrap is so thin, you get a much better contrast of textures because you have a crisp outer casing and then goo and gunge and chew. I think that will do for now. Turn it over. In it goes, and I have, not fashioned myself, but Ken the builder gave it to me, a brick covered in foil, and that will help press it down. In fact, you could just sort of hold a spatula over it, but I rather like this device. Right, I'm going to prepare my morning feast by clearing off this, otherwise I'll just make another one, and that's not right. Now, let us see. Oh, it sounds good. And if you want, you can oil the outside to make it fry more, but I don't really think it's necessary. And if I think extra oil is not necessary, you can take my word for it. Look, can you see the bits of chorizo and cheese beginning to ooze out? I think I am ready. Turn this off. And of course, the washing up is easy because you haven't got any oil or anything in there. Look at that. I needed this. That's what I love. One set of ingredients, blow-out dinner, restoring breakfast, double bubble. It's precisely when I'm frantically busy and feel that I haven't got time to cook. I really need my evening meal to be particularly fabulous. Luckily, I just need one ingredient and I can make my super fast, super simple salmon supper. My lemony salmon and cherry tomato couscous is fantastic for when you have friends over midweek. But you know what? I like it even better when there's just me. There is my salmon, couscous, definitely. Start off with that so it can soak up and cook while I get on with everything else. Beautiful little grains. I know this is not the proper way of cooking them. I should be doing all sorts of things, but I'm lazy and this is my shortcut. Bit of salt. I want some gorgeous orange paprika. This is smoked paprika, and what it gives is a bit of warmth, a bit of fire, like the smoky embers from a fire. Stir it in a bit, I think. And for more warmth, more of a pepperiness, and funnily enough, much more peppery, I think, than the paprika, some freshly grated ginger. That's enough. All I need to do to cook this, however improperly and lazily, is to cover it just by a centimetre or so of boiling water. So the couscous will absorb the spices and the hot water, and I can get on with salmon. I think I'll preheat the pan. I don't mind that there's ginger on the zester because a little bit of ginger in with this lemon zest will be just lovely, actually. And now, back to a bit of paprika, teeny bit here. As much as anything to enhance the fantastic coral colour of salmon. Garlic oil, only a teeny bit to help, I suppose it's like an aromatic glue. Bit of casual smearing. Bit like the tabloids. In it goes. Look how beautiful it is. And while the salmon cooks, I'm going to get on with the final part. I have been to Pixieland and got a red onion. You could just as easily use a couple of spring onions, but I love the look and taste of red onion here. Just chop it fairly fine, but to be honest, you could chop this coarsely and you'd still have fine bits. So here we are, a bowl for my red onion. And just as I zested this earlier to go on the salmon, I want the juice to go on top of the red onion, just to take out some of that acrid burn. That's fine. And to mix up with that, it is after all cherry tomato couscous, so I rather feel some cherry tomatoes would be in order. Halved, just so the cut sides breathe in the lemony juices, lemon and onion juices really. Now the last little tomato, and I want a bit of salt, not a lot. And then back to the garlic oil, only a dribble. I just want to tumble these about so they're all covered. And I think it'll be perfect time to turn over the salmon. Right, and now for the ritual unveiling of my couscous. Quick fork up like rice. Couscous has to be stirred with a fork, not a spoon, and into those wonderfully sweet little bobbles of pasta go the sharp tomatoes and onion and lemon. Gorgeous, they're like little cheeks. Much as I'd love to have this whole bowl myself, I think even for me it's too much, but it will be lovely just to have a bit cold in the fridge with a bit of grilled halloumi or something tomorrow. Beautiful. And now the salmone. Not that we're in Italy for this. And I fancy just a bit of coriander. I want a bit of its earthiness and the sharp shock of green. But other than that, I don't want to do anything except eat it. The perfect stove-side supper, but still special. Just because I like cooking doesn't mean I constrain myself to homemade food. After all, there are many eating opportunities in the world, and I aim to celebrate as many of them as possible. Hello, can I have some chips, please? Now, I've nothing against having just chips with salt and vinegar, but there's something I love to do with chips, and that's make what a friend of mine calls a vegetarian kebab. So you get some flatbread and you lay it out in front of you, and then you slather it with hummus, and then just put a couple of handfuls or so of chips on top of that, sprinkle over coarse salt, squeeze of lemon, make a package of it and apply to face. I mean, it's absolute heaven, and I'm ready for it. Good night.